Hello and welcome back to another video of mine, and what we're going to do today is work a bit more on the park and build a new coaster. But before that, I very quickly wanted to start work on the re-theme of the Intamin Wing coaster, which I later on decided to theme it to the Czech Republic. Obviously the inspiration of Pilsen from the launch section is quite clear, but other than that I have a better idea for a coaster for Italy. And that's what we're going to do right now. As you can see, I decided to build a motorbike coaster, essentially in-game. However, what I wanted to actually create was a dual power coaster by Dynamic Attractions. If you don't know what the concept behind this is, it's that the track essentially is under a solid piece of ground and it's hidden from you, and essentially you are acting like a vehicle on the road. I wanted to do this because, of course, you have a lot of cool nature and bikes in Italy, and also I really wanted to add a family coaster because if the first coaster was any indication, I'm going to make this all thrill in the end. And let's be honest, I want some coasters for families too, though this is really more of a family thrill ride. So what I just added was a launch section, and I wanted to then just go into a hairpin. I want to theme this to the Italian mountains, maybe like the Alps or something. I haven't gone around to it too much. Essentially my attitude with scenery is that I want just to add a little bit of the essential scenery for the video, and then later on I'm maybe going to do like a scenery episode or something for this park because, well, to put it simply, scenery takes a lot of time and it's not very interesting to show, so I kind of just cut out most of it. So my goal is to essentially just build coasters and then start working on the scenery afterwards, because of course then you also have more of a plan of how the park layout is going and where you can hide things, and maybe you will still want to move some things around, and it is going to be quite hard if you still have a lot of scenery. And speaking of moving around, this coaster will not be able to be moved around at all, even with the minor scenery I only added, because this is going to be a terrain coaster, obviously. The only coaster of this is actually built, or well, rather is getting built as of now, is one in Malaysia. However, I did not really base it all of that, I just kind of winged it and built a design of my own, and I really wanted to keep it family focused while also giving like some good airtime and some nice laterals in the corners, because I don't believe I will have any other like lateral focused rides. Here you can see me struggle a bit getting this layout quite right. In the end I decided to go for a, well, not really a tunnel, but going under a bridge and then back up again, up the mountain between the second and fourth track. I'm in the end quite happy with the layout, however, as you will be able to see later on, there are a couple of sections where I'm just going to ignore clearance a bit. Maybe I'm going to reshape it or something, but then again it's not that important, it's not that problematic, but you will see later on. So then of course the hard part is to not just build the tracks, but also add the road under it. Because of course you have a road above the tracks, because that's the entire concept of the ride. Of course I will have to adjust banking, and one really annoying thing is that with the go-kart tracks, banking in the corners will essentially just bank it around the middle instead of one of the sides. So what ends up happening is that one side moves up and the other one moves down, instead of just one side moving up like it is in real life. So I've kind of had to smooth around that a bit, and it's not quite perfect. However, I think it actually turned out quite nice, especially for what I had in mind. It will also be a dueling coaster, because of course the concept lends itself quite well into being a dueling coaster, and as well as that, I just kind of think that a bike racing coaster fits quite well to Italy. As of now, I've called the ride Corsa Italia. but I'm open for suggestions as always. Just please leave a comment, I haven't got any yet. You could be my first comment on the video. Don't you want that? Don't you want that prize? Hey, I'm the first guy who commented on a guy's video who has like 2 subs and whose channel name is literally on the 50 character limit. Isn't that fucking great? Well, anyways, I'm just quickly finishing up the layout, and it's a bit annoying because whenever you want to get to the station and you have a track going through the station, you have to delete that track first before you can edit anything. And that takes quite a while because the game just starts to lag a lot if you add a lot of vertices or whatever the game uses to the track, which is quite annoying. That's also one of the reasons I wanted to create the coasters before I created the scenery, because if the game lags, it's way more annoying to create coasters than scenery, because with scenery you can quite easily also create them outside of the park, or if all else fails, it doesn't lag as much as coasters do. So moving on, I decided that I first of all wanted to get a little bit of shaping of the ground before I decided to work on it, and I fixed a little bit of the supports. However, I didn't quite finish it in this video. I need to rework the wing coaster anyways, because the barrel roll, it's too fast, I think. I need to work on it a little bit, and here you can just check me for clearance, check the clearance, and it's actually okay, I think. Not quite realistic, but I'm just leaving it at that. Maybe I will fix it later on or something. But of course, one of the things I need to add is a net, because of course you don't want anything falling onto the track of the coaster, let alone on a person. So then afterwards, what I decided to do was to just add some basic terraforming around the hairpin at the end, because I wanted to get the path through there, because I think it was quite nice to just enter the entire area of the small, like, Furious Baku-esque lake by going around the small hairpin. I haven't added a fence yet, but I'm definitely going to, because of course you need a bit of security. You don't want any guest just jumping onto the track of the ride, because some people are stupid enough to do something like this. You don't want to get sued. But then I decided to work on, well, something that caused me a lot of time and problems, which was adding, well, essentially the slot where the ride mechanism goes through. I think in the end it kind of just looked like it was like a steeplechase, like with like a sideways tracks under it. However, I don't think it's too bad per se. But I really needed to just add the gap in, because otherwise it just didn't look right if the track was just perfectly above everything. And I cut out most of it because honestly it took way too long and was way too annoying, and I had to reshape it a lot of times. So I just worked on it a little bit, and then you're going to see a massive cut right about now. And now you just see me basically just shaping it so that it fits perfectly between both motorcycles, because in the middle you kind of just see a small piece that is just perfectly in the middle. You can orient yourself around, but of course I will also have to make it conform to the track, which is what I'm doing right now. This was also quite annoying, especially because for 4-meter pieces you don't always get the shaping right, but after a while I just, did it, and it wasn't too bad after all. So then I just worked on creating the terrain around it. However, I quickly got bored of that and just decided to build a basic box around the station. I got inspired by a small picture I saw of like a small bike shop, motorcycle shop. It was had this relaxed salmon-esque color with some off-white under it. I just built it to that spec. Maybe I can change the colors later on. If you guys recommend any color scheme, just tell me. I also added a small queue off camera. I just wanted to basically have it be 2-meter pieces next to each other to kind of just then later on form one path that splits off in the station. Just kind of fake that. And I also quickly wanted to add a switch track. I later on decided to put it around on the other side, because while this mountain would be fake IRL, I didn't quite think there's a good space to just add any piece to get to it, and I think that a more realistic option was just to kind of have the trucks going around on the path. Anyways, as you can see, I started work on a small bridge. It's quite tight. Maybe I'll have to redo this, which will be quite a pain, but I spent a lot of time on this, and you can be happy that I will cut out most of it. It was quite fiddly again. Bridges always tends to be quite fiddly with me, but I started work on just creating essentially like a tunnel section under it, and then just added a very bright, vibrant orange color on the actual bridge, but I'm going to cut that out. And instead I just show you how I will now switch the switch track around on the other side. And I also added a little bit of an extension to it, which I don't show on camera, okay, which was just to get to the other side as well, even though you could also just run it around on the other track. I also wanted to add some starting lights, because that's quite cool for a racing coaster, and I also added a small pre-show. I want a lot of pre-shows for the launches, because I always liked them quite much. I also quickly off camera put in some foliage and some nice road signs for the coaster. So, in summary, I think we've done quite a lot of work today, even though it doesn't really show in just sheer size on the map. But this is definitely a very high effort coaster, and in the end I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I will of course add a little bit more foliage and maybe some more, maybe like a little bit of cars or something. We'll definitely add like a small maybe like a garden or something in front of the right entrance, where you can enter through. Maybe I'll work a bit on clearance. Other than that, I'm going to start work on another section, another coaster next episode again. As I said, I wanted to create like scenery episode, dedicated scenery episodes. So then again, we'll see you on Stan. Let's see how soon it will be. Goodbye, take care.